Let's look on the difference between gold and silver. You see again the chart here, and here you see the spine. The point is here, we call it C0, C1. Why 0? 0 is the base of the skull. So here you see this point, C0, and then you include this point in your therapeutic scheme of needles. So the sympathetic trunk goes from here to down there. It's all along the spine, the whole spine, from there to down there. And again, if somebody has a blockade, let's say C6, look whether maybe in the sympathetic trunk an active point is. You see here, this part is the pelvis sacrum. We need to find the two faces of the joint. One of the faces is this one, the face of the pelvis, the two sides of each joint, this one of the sacrum and this one of the pelvis. So the pelvis is here. This is the pelvis. And you see this is one line. Come on. One line. You tell me whether it's painful. Oh, she only feels little pain. Used to take a lot. Am I right? Du kannst viel aushalten. Here we are. Behind the antitragus here, behind the antitragus. And what do you recognize here? You should recognize it. We talked about this. Look at this. Here you can see the wrist, the lateral part of the wrist is obviously towards its lateral. The little finger, thumb, and here's the little finger, and it's more lateral. There it is. Go back. Now I put a yellow point there that you can see it better. Here. Can you see this point? There. It's a muscle point. I go on. I go there. There it is. Yeah, well, it's the same place where the needle is already, where the first needle was put in, the same place, very, very close to the insertion place. In your clinic, you will then take the red mark, and you tell me, is it painful here? That one? That one. So when you find a point here, you don't know what it is really, and I'll come back later to the methods how you can make the difference between the points. Now back to the structures of the ear. You see the lower jaw, see the upper jaw. The point at the back side of the ear is the silver point and already addresses the muscle which are combined with the temporomandibular joint. Where are the muscles? Oh wait, no. This is the lips. Tongue, a huge localization of the tongue. Why is that so huge? Why? Because of the masses of receptors. There are Nogier found certain zones at the ear. That has to do with frequencies, that has to do with laser. Maybe when you're interested, you will go to that later on. Absolutely interesting. And he found that there is a point, zone dominant point A. This is a Nogier point. Migraine is very often correlated with the emotion of sorrow or worry. So when I have a migraine patient, I would never miss to ask this patient, do you think a lot? Do you worry a lot? How is that? Okay, you see here, please go very close. You see here a needle practically in the same point. That means I got the edge of the point with the first needle, and the first needle has just fallen out. I got the edge of the point, and the second one is in the middle of the point. So I had 2 needles at this point, and 1 needle has already fallen out. That means that the second needle hit the point right in the center, whereas the first needle was just at the edge of the point. And we often see that when you set the needle, when you put the needle right into the center of an important point, and highly active point, electrically active or change point, the tissue will grip the needle, and after a while, when you want to remove the needle, you can't get it out. This is a right-handed person. When you look at it, then the question might be, you see silver points and gold points. There is an axis here going through the 0 point. Here we are, an axis going through a 0 point. And when this impressed me so much when I started back then 35 years ago, that I found, okay, this applies for all ears I ever met. Remember that for the right-handed person, it's all silver here. The whole line is silver. We just had the whole line on the left ear in gold. So the whole line is silver. And one of these silver lines, see, these silver points is picked out now and stays on the right ear. What you see here is the center is all the central nervous system. There is nothing but this structure as central nervous system. This here, around here, is the brain. The frontal lobe is number 1 here, is a part in the brain that you should consider when you have a problem with the motor speech area or the precentral gyrus. So when you work with a point finder, always consider this area. If somebody has a pain, look at the right side, look at the left side, the other part of the body which had suffered from the stroke. And there is another thing for us ear acupuncturists in there. Look at this. When you have a scar somewhere, and you will look at this in the other tutorials when we talk about focus scar activities. She has a scar from here to there. It's from here to there. It's from here, yes. Not down. From here to there. It's a conceptor vessel. May be blocked at many places. May not disturb. We will find out. This is a cross section here. This is the concha here, and there are the points of the spine here. So in this area you can find points. These will be the little joints up here. This is more the middle. This will be the muscle area. Be patient and try where the points are. This is a laser with 200 milliwatt. 200 milliwatt is quite a strong laser. I'm glad I have this in reach for this patient. Okay, the stronger a laser is, the more photons will be at the acupuncture point. Also, you can treat parts of the body with a laser. You need to look for this with certain frequencies. This is the only way to find this out. They try to hide themselves. Now I will give you the most important nerves. We have still 5 nerves to go, and where the hypothalamus is, we talked about this. So as you can see, all the structures of the ear are located at the ear. There is nothing, Folie 61, there is nothing which is not represented at the ear. Here we are, we have another of these lines which are somehow magic. When you look at them, here we have, you know, this point, number 1. Is that magic? Here we are. So let us put the points for nose, maxillary, sinus, and I can tell you already, we have an axis here, das Ganze Ohr. From here to there, through the 0 point, estrogen point and progesterone point. Very interesting. And the last point is the oxytocin point. It's the posterior adrenal gland. Spinal cord, you remember, this is the spinal cord. Number 1, the motor portion on the back side, the sensory portion on the front side. And when you have a disc prolapse, a cervical nerve will be under pressure. The cervical nerve, you have to imagine it like this. When you have a disc prolapse, here you see one of the prolapse. Here you see a prolapse there. There is a prolapse. And this prolapse touches the spinal nerve. As the spinal nerve is part of the spinal cord, you might find active points in the area of the spinal cord at the edge of the ear.